Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Qatar. This is the action we've been waiting for. My name is Regan Tetlow. I'm your host for the FAI 6th World Paramotor Slalom Championships, and I'm joined in the studio this morning by expert and good friend Gordy Oliver. Very good morning, Gordy.
Hi, Regan. Aren't we all excited for this? We've been waiting so long. It's time to get in the air and let's see some flying.
Yes, it is. It's been a few days of the Shamal wind has been coming through here in Doha, and that's kept all the competitors on the ground. It's given them a great opportunity to get to see the area, get to see Doha, but a great shot there of, this is kind of the behind the scenes shot of which the public don't normally see. We've got the field and we've got all the tents and all the teams, and as the sun starts to rise here on this beautiful Friday morning on the 9th of February, we're getting prepared to get the first training day underway. So, Gordy, what we're going to be doing, what happens on the first training day? What's everybody doing right now?
Okay, so you've got the world's top pilots are here now in attendance. This event here is the best we've ever seen in the World Paramotoring Championships. The Qatar Sports Committee has done fantastic with their organisation, the preparation for this event. And you've got 50, 60 of the world's best pilots eagerly waiting in anticipation now to get into the air, to perform at their absolute top level of competition and skill and showcase what they can do for us.
So I think we can have a look at the entry list now of what we are expecting to be getting into the air from our pilots. Look at that beautiful sunrise, God. It's absolutely wonderful. You were just saying you've not seen the sunrise here yet.
Yeah, this is it. To be up this early in the morning and to see these views of over Doha and LaSalle is absolutely fantastic.
So here we go, the 6th FAI World Championships. This is the entry list PF1. This is the starting order for the training. Can you talk me through a little bit what we can see here?
Yeah, so the PF1 is the foot launch, I believe, and we can see the entry list coming in now. We've got the Qatar guys starting off. The Qatar guys are the best in the world. They've got amazing training facility out here in Qatar, and because of that, their skill level's high. So they're going to be the guys to beat in this competition, and it looks like they're opening the show with number 1.
And this is the entry list for PF1, and we're going to look at the entry list for the PF1F. Let's have a look. I'll bring that on the screen for you in that iconic shot there of those towers behind us. And this is the foot launch, isn't it? PF1F foot launch entry
so I
list.
believe.
So this is just four competitors in the foot launch.
Yeah.
And let's have a look at the PL1 now. Paramotor Slalom, PL1. And PL1 is...
So these are the foot launch guys, I believe. We've got Carlos Lemons, who's from Spain, who's one of the top pilots. He's going to be starting off this side of things. So foot launch is where you have the motor on your back and you stand on your feet and you have to run to take off. And then the other category is the trike category, where, as you can see, the trike's been rolled out here. The reason they have the trikes is that they're so powerful, these machines, and the guys fly such small wings that they can't run fast enough to get in the air. So they use the trikes to get the speed up on takeoff, and then they're really pushing the limits in the air at the absolute cutting edge of our sport.
So the wing is a completely different size with the trikes than it is for the foot launch.
Absolutely. So you tend to try and get as small a wing as possible, which puts your wing loading as high as possible, and therefore the speed becomes as high as possible. But as I mentioned, it's at the cutting edge of the sport. The guys also accelerate the wings by means of what's called a speed bar.
Yeah.
This lowers the angle of attack, like pushing the nose of a plane down and making it go faster. However, when we do this, we are at the absolute limits of the physical nature of the way our wings fly, and it's close to getting collapses. So these pilots have to be very careful when they're flying these wings, that they apply the controls and the inputs at just the right moment. If not, it can go pear-shaped and they could be taking a swim.
So now we've got some of the pilots. Looks like we've got one of the officials there. What could they be talking about now, Gordy?
So they'll be just discussing what the wind direction is. You can see they're all getting laid out on one side of the green matting. That's because the wind will be coming in from our left-hand side as you look at the screen. It's a perfect direction actually now, and you can see on the water it's quite light. We've got sort of the lights reflecting. See the boat out there now. This is just looking perfect. We've had 5-6 days prepping for this competition, and it's just been too windy. So to these conditions now is just what we've all been waiting for.
How long have you been flying paramotor?
I'm a bit of an old schooler, so I initially started flying in the late 80s, and I actually flew a paramotor in about 1991. It was basically a car engine strapped to a bit of metal in those days. These days, we're years ahead of that now. The machines you can see there now, some of them might have 300cc engines. Some of them are carbon fibre made, etc. They'll be costing well over £10,000 UK sterling for some of these machines. It's an incredible thing to be here to see and witness.
Well, if you just joined us, a very good morning. Welcome live to Qatar. It is the FAI 6th Paramotor Slalom World Championships. We are going into the first flights of the event with the training day of the competition. My name's Regan Tetlow, and joining me here live in the studio, paramotor expert and instructor and jet paramotor flyer, Gordy Oliver. Good morning, Gordy.
Good morning, Regan. So we can see there the marshals getting ready. That was Simon on the right from Poland and his colleagues. They're going to prep for this, and then what will happen is each competitor will be given a time slot, and they'll be waved to take off. You'll then see the gliders inflate and they'll go buzzing round, and then it'll be one after another of pilots entering the course and trying to it's a timed course around the pylons. Basically the fastest guy is the winner. So
we can have a look at the task for this morning. We can bring that on screen for you. God, you can talk me through it a little bit, what we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll have an entrance gate where the guys enter the course. They then have a direction which you can follow on the serrated line, and you can see the arrows going around the pylons. So it can change sometimes depending on the wind, but this is what they're opting for now. So we're going to have an entrance, and it looks like we're going to be going around 2 pylons a number of times, and then they have to exit. So they'll be timed from where the F and the S is on the screen, and the fastest guy will be win.
And I guess that S is starting, F is finished, right?
That's it, yeah, and you can see the blue direction, so yeah.
And it'll be just the information on the screen there, the 24M1. Do we know what that is? Is that the actual task itself?
I think that'll be the amount of rotations around the pylons.
Yes, yeah. So it's following the line there. It comes from the start, and then the left-hand carve.
Anti-clockwise around the first pylon, and then you come round and go clockwise around the second pylon, back up to the pylon at the top, and again, anti-clockwise rotation.
Yeah.
Back around the lower pylon in clockwise, and then over to the finish gate and out.
Have you done any of this slalom flying?
I've never done it personally, no. It's quite a unique thing, and it doesn't happen much, and in truth it's very hard to train for, because to have the right facilities, to have over water is key.
Yes.
As I've mentioned about the stability of these gliders and the way these guys are pushing this flying, if it does go wrong, it means that they've got a reasonably soft landing. But even so, I don't know if any of you people out there have ever water skied and come off your skis into water. Water's hard. It can still be rock hard. So they're not just flying. They are actually really pushing the limits. And in some ways, they're sort of putting their life on the line for their sport here. This is the absolute cutting edge of what we do.
And it's relatively new as a discipline, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's developed over a number of years, but we're at a level now where this is the 6th Paramotor World Championships here in Qatar. The last one was held in Spain last summer. So, it's a fairly new discipline. You can see the nerves on the guys' faces as they're prepping. Probably doesn't want a camera on him, bless him, at the moment. But this is great.
Around his neck, that's an inflation device, right?
Absolutely. So they've got self-inflating life jackets, and the life jacket's not buoyancy aids, because if they do go in, you can see the equipment they're strapped to. The petrol tank, that's effectively full of petrol, but there's also air, so it would tip them on the face when they go in the water. So they need a life jacket, what will immediately inflate, give them buoyancy, keep the head above the water. We can see the Qatar Coast Guard here who are supporting the event in this beautiful big boat, and we'll also have a number of small boats ready to help these guys if it does go wrong. But fingers crossed, we're going to have a safe competition. They're all going to get through it okay, and let's see how it goes.
Well, beautiful, iconic location with those 4 towers in the background. They're incredible to see. And at night time, they're all lit up with the neon lights and all different colours. And last night, you were watching one of the display teams with the fireworks. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so over here at the moment, we have the Flying Dragons, who are a Polish team. In Poland, paramotoring's huge. In fact, a lot of the guys here are Polish, and the marshals for this event are Polish. And the Flying Dragons team are slalom racers themselves, but they've formed a display team, and they fly in a formation, but they do it a little bit special. They fly at night, and they strap pyros and fireworks to themselves. And whilst they're flying around, they also have the gliders lit up by LED lights. So they provide a spectacle in the air, which is, to behold, is something nobody's ever really seen. And they were flying last night above Doha, and they were flying for the food festival in Doha at the moment. They do about a 10-minute flight with all this going on, and it was incredible to watch. I was there fortunately watching and sort of helping the drone team, and it was the first time I've witnessed it in the flesh. I've seen them on Insta for a number of years, and I've been their top #1 fan, to be truthful with you. So yeah, to be here now, meeting these people, meeting my heroes really in my sport, it's a great, unique opportunity, and I'm very grateful to have been given this by the Qatar Sports Committee.
Brilliant. Well, everybody that's watching, thanks for joining us. There's our good friend Emilia.
Yeah. So Emilia there. So Emilia's from Poland. Yeah, she now lives in Spain. She works for one of the top manufacturers called Ozone, and she's actually the captain of the American team. The American team, there's 3 members, her and 2 of us, and they're here. Yeah. For this show.
Well, very good morning to everybody watching live. A couple of messages coming through on YouTube. Sandor Renjiska says, beautiful sunrise. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so good to see. If you are watching, just drop a little message and say hello. It's always good to hear from you. We are just on the other side of the course from what you can see there with the safety boat moving around, and Gordy joined us very graciously here. You're away down to Indonesia in a couple of days, isn't it?
That's right. So we were brought out here. I have a jet Paramotor display team. We're the only jet Paramotor display team in the world. I've worked with a guy called Alan Hewitt from the film industry, who develops things called concepts for the stunt world, and he developed these jetpacks for doing crazy scenes in Mission Impossible, James Bond, things like that. So we decided to make it a display team as well. So we're now signed off by our UK Civil Aviation Authority, and we're able to come to events like this, showcase our skills. We were due to fly for the opening ceremony, but sadly the wind was just too strong for that. We managed to practice display with the Qatar Air Force and the Qatar National Skydive team. And so now I get the lovely job of sitting here, and I can actually watch other people fly rather than the world watching me fly for a change.
There's a big story to be told by watching water, isn't there? You can read a lot about conditions with that water, how it's moving across the screen. They were saying up till only yesterday, really, that we might not get an opportunity to fly until Saturday morning, but here we are now. What do you think? Are we still on the edge a little bit? Do you think we...
No, this is at the moment looking great. So the last few days, with the angle of the camera, the wind's been coming straight in our face. So it's been coming over the LaSalle Towers, which means it would have been very turbulent to fly.
For sure.
The wind now, as you can see, is coming in from our left-hand side, which is coming in from a southwesterly direction, I believe, if I've got my bearings right. And it means as it comes across, we've got Camille there, who's the chief coach of the Qatar team. Obviously he's one of the guys who's organised this event, so I can imagine he's a very happy man now to see it going off in action. And going back to the conditions, so the wind now is coming over the car parking area. There's no disturbance to it, and then it's just slowly blowing off across the water. So fingers crossed it should be nice and smooth for the pilots. It's key that we have smooth air, and therefore, you know, the risk, the dangers are limited. You might see the pylon wobbling there. Fortunately, that's not the wind. That's just the waves, which is what we want.
If you're watching locally and you want to come along and see the action, you're more than welcome. We've got a great plaza for you just at the end of the LaSalle Boulevard. If you walk your way up from there, from the football stadium, right at the very end, you've got the plaza right opposite the water. We've got big screens there. You can follow the action, beautiful seating. There's vendors around as well for food and drinks. And then just here on the launch field behind that, we've got Celebration Palace with their inflatable children's play area. So we really are trying to make it a good family environment. I'm not quite sure if we've got anybody here so early in the morning, Gordy, but we are open for them.
But I've got to say, this is the 6th Paramotor Championship, till I said. Up until now, most of the events have been held in Europe. Fantastic events, but compared to what we have here and what's been provided by the Qatar Sports Committee, it's been small scale. This is just incredible to see. It's incredible for our sport to get so much support from Qatar and this fantastic country. And look at that view. I mean, it's a beautiful place, and there's a lot of beautiful people out there too. Yeah,
just on the right-hand side of the shot, you can see those 2 small red squares. That's the seating area for the public. And it's not normal seating. They're kind of like velvet, tailor-made seats. They're absolutely gorgeous. We were there last night for the official opening ceremony of the Qatar Air Sports Committee Museum, which was another great experience as well. Absolutely Gorgeous. Oh, we've got a couple of people there, look, on the benches, ready to watch the action. I wonder if they understand what's about to happen.
Yeah, if you've gone out for a little walk in La Salle this morning and you didn't know what's going to happen, you're going to get a bit of a shock. It's not your normal morning in La Salle, that's for sure here.
And on the left-hand side of the screen, that big green square, and you've got the tents around the corner of that. It's a big open car park. We're so lucky to have that location. It must have been great for the organisers to find that right place that they could possibly use, which is going to be next to the water. It's going to be a big open space for takeoff and landing.
Oh, fantastic. The logistics what have been put in place for this event is incredible. You can see the AstroTurf, what they're on. The AstroTurfs had to be screwed to the ground because these paramotors kick out a lot of wind. If it wasn't, it would be like rolling up a carpet when these guys take off. Just the logistics of putting that down alone is incredible. And something you wouldn't really see anywhere else. It's purely down to the professionalism of this organisation. There you've got Simon, the Polish marshal, just coming out of shot. And you can see the Paramotor now fired up, and it looks like we're not far off getting our first pilot in the air. It's about to kick off, guys. Are we ready to go, Regan?
We are indeed. Very good morning. If you've just joined us live, the official first practice day of the FAI 6th Paramotor Slalom
and here
World
we
Championships.
Go. Let's hope he gets a good launch. So he's launching an ozone wing called the Freeride 2. They're incredibly hard to launch, these wings, because they are tuned at a point. Oh, look at that. He's away. First competitor in the air. We've been waiting for this, and we're off and we're rolling.
Brilliant. So will he now take a moment to assess conditions, or will he go straight for the course?
I think because of the time scale and the way it is, and the wind may pick up later as the sun comes up, they're going to try and get through this pretty fast. So as he's climbing out now, you can see he's reaching down for his feet onto his speed bar. That allows him to push forward and lower the nose of the glider like diving a plane, and then get the speed going incredibly fast. So he's going to do probably a circuit, get himself ready, line up for the start gate. You can see the wee white tent there by the waterfront. That's where me and Regan are right now, giving you this live country. And as Regan mentioned, we've got a live feed going. If you've got any questions you want to ask, any specifics, we'll try and give the best technical knowledge I can give you, and I can give you some feedback on that too. We've also now got the Qatar team here. These guys are a full-time team. They're all military, supported fantastically by their government. You can see they're nervous. They've got a lot to live up to in this competition. Most of the European pilots, I say the professional pilots, we're all doing it for the love. We're all people that may have other jobs. And here we go with, I think that's not the guy who's in the air. I'm not sure if that's one of the Qatar guys now.
Well, it is a practice day, so maybe we're just practicing with the titles as well and getting those on screen. But we will read what we get on screen for you, just to let you know. We can hear the paramotor right above our studio right now as he makes his way.
You can hear it on the mics. We're that close to the action. This is incredible. Oh, I can feel the vibration off it.
Can you see the actual pylons on this image? I don't think we can at the moment. The shot is just not on the pylons, is it? The entry
This is
gate.
look like he's going for it. So this could be it. Yeah, he's accelerating now. You can see he's pushing on the speed bar. He's lowering his speed. His hands as high as he can. He's giving it absolute full guns. This is him now entering the course by the looks of it. Yeah, he's through the start gate. You can see his feet nearly touch the water then. He lets off the speed bar. He pulls the brakes to carve around the first pylon. He's now doing the same around the second pylon. He's now accelerating the glider again, and he's going to let off. And there you go. Look at that. He's pulling about 3-4 G on those turns. Oh, this guy's just superb. Yeah, I tell you what, first pilot off, he's going to be blinking setting the record here.
Yeah, we hopefully will have a timer for you on the screen at some point so we can tell you the actual round and what time he's got there.
There you go. Normal paragliding flights might last for hours at a time. These paramotor flights, we fly for literally a few minutes. We land and the adrenaline in our system, we need a few hours to sit down, have a cup of tea and calm down. It's an intensive way of flying. Probably the most intensive way you could ever strap yourself to a bit of nylon, strap a motor to it and do your thing. Oh, look at these slow motion, high quality shots. You can see there, I was mentioned how he's letting off the speed bar. He's then using the energy of the wing. He's increasing the angle of attack, like pulling back on the stick of a plane to make a curve. See now he's accelerating it again, and watch his feet. If he pulled the brakes before he did that, the glider would collapse the way these things fly, and he would hit the water. Your timing's got to be absolutely precise. Again, you can see there he's accelerated, letting off the bar. He nearly got his tip on the water there. They also can't go too high. That's the other thing. They get disqualified if they go too high. So he's got to sort of stay within the pylon height as well. So yeah, a very good first run for the first competitor there.
You just joined us. Very good morning. First official practice day here in Lusail in Qatar. Gordy Oliver joins us in the studio. I'm Regan Tetlow, and we are going into the next flight. Gordy, for the one to the next one, does the first one have to land before the second one sets off, or how does that work?
Yeah, you want to get the guys clear of the course. So they're flying solo tasks at the moment. So it'll be, one guy flies, gets out the way, the next guy will get ready. Because it's a practice day, a little bit of time here between pilots. They also fly a team event where they'll go in one after another, and then it'll be the time for the whole team going through the course. And there'll be penalties if they go through the start gate too early or too late and things like that. So, I think it looks like maybe the first guy was what we call in our sport the wind dummy. The guy who launches first, the guy who's bravest, and the guy that we all watch as pilots with a close eye. So, that was definitely a test flight to test the conditions, test the course. And as you can see from the footage we saw, it looks perfect for it today.
So all the teams all gathered into one corner of the field. Officials here now chatting. Can you tell me a bit about the flags that they're holding?
Yeah, so the guys give us the green flags, set of traffic lights basically. The marshals will give the green flag to the pilots when it's ready to launch. The red flag will be upholding them back, and then they'll get the time slot. You can see here the marshals now discussing it. It's Simon on the left here from Poland. I'm really sorry, I know the guy, but I've forgotten his name next to him. They're good lads. As I mentioned, they're all Polish, and these guys, the Poles are fantastic. They've developed the sport of paramotoring. Kamil also, the Qatari national coach there in the blue hat, he's a Polish guy too. They've taken our sport of paramotoring, this slalom racing, to the next level. We owe them a massive debt of gratitude.
Well, thanks very much, guys, for bringing this to us and bringing it to the world as well. If you're watching on YouTube, give me a shout. Let's have a little message from you. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions as well, you can bring it to us here in the studio. It was really pretty intense to hear the motor directly over us where we were, just on the other side of the water, and then off they went into that course. Brilliant start.
That's right. Well, so if you're aware of paramotoring and paramotors, you might think you know them. These engines, though, they're somewhat different. They're the racing machines of the paramotor world. They're tuned engines. They're often larger engines, up to 300cc. And also the frames around the engines, which protect the propellers from the lines going into them. They're made of carbon fibre. These, aren't your run-of-the-mill, off-your-shelf paramotors. These are specialist bits of kit. Often each pilot's tuned his own and made it absolutely specific for his requirements. The bars under his arms there, which you can see he hangs off, they could be specialist designed exactly for him. And also the weights, so we get the motors hanging at exactly the right angle to give us what we call our thrust angle, is absolutely key. A few degrees off, it will fly completely differently. So this is absolutely, our sport at its absolute cutting edge.
So when these teams are travelling from event to event, they're going to need time when they arrive just to get all the mechanics and everything set up and get the engineering correct, right?
That's right, yeah. So they'll be bringing mechanics with them and engineers to help them. Hopefully they won't need them in the sense of the engines will run sweet, and also, they'll not do any damage to them. But if it does occur, they've got a whole team of mechanics behind them. It's not quite Formula One. We can't change the tyres in a few seconds. It takes us a little while maybe to sort out. So this is the Trikes now firing up. You could see the guy there using the pull start. Some paramotors have electric starts, but that adds weight. So we use pull starts on all these racing machines. And we also have centrifugal clutches. There you could go. So you see the prop's not turning. As he revs up the engine, the centrifugal clutch kicks in. That'll spin the prop. It means that when we're taking off and landing, we can be safe. We haven't got the propeller spinning, etc. And that's the way these things are designed to go. In the early days, we didn't have that. You fired your paramotor up, the thing was spinning on idle. Yeah. You put your hand near it, it would chop your hand off. So it's just, how over the years, the safety's improved, the design, the technology's improved. They're two-stroke machines. machines. You can see the smoke coming out of it there. That's because it's cold and it's burning a little bit of two-stroke oil. And also the water cooled these engines as well, which again means that you can tune them better and get even more performance. And you can see the look on the guy's eyes, you know, in his little briefing there off Simon the Marshal. He spent months, years preparing for this moment, this guy. And yeah, let's wish him all the best on these flights today.
Do we get competitors competing in both trike and foot launch?
Generally, they're fairly specific, partly probably because the engines they're flying cost so much.
Right.
They'll generally have their own setup, and that's what they'll practice and fly on. And as I mentioned earlier, the trikes are often a bit bigger, the engine, which gives it more weight and more thrust and can go a bit faster. But it can go so fast that you can't take off with your feet. So that's the little difference. And as we look there at the sail towers with the shark hanging in it, I've actually got a little story about the shark, if you want, while we wait. It was hung by a friend of mine who I taught to paraglide.
Really?
Yeah, and a couple of weeks ago I was in contact. I'm like, I'm coming out to Doha. He's like, I'm out here now. He's like, I hung the shark up in the sail. He works for the film industry, normally doing high wire rigging for all sorts of stunts. But he got brought in here, and that was his job, and that's why the shark's hanging there now.
And with the fuel, Gordy, is there a limit, or is there a specific amount of fuel that you carry during a competition?
Yeah, so they'll basically try and use as little fuel as possible to save weight, because the motors they're carrying are heavier than a standard paramotor. The more fuel you add, the more weight you add. So for a normal long flight, that tank there will be full. A 10-litre tank, you might find you'll get maybe up to 4 hours flight out of it. But these guys are stripping all that down. They want enough fuel to get around this course, get them back to the beginning safely, and take it from that point. The fuel will be checked. There'll be things like that, just like any motor racing sport. There'll be marshals and what have you. The machines will be weighed. There'll be scrutineering. All these machines have had to go through this over the last few days, so that these guys, you know. And there's also a lot of importance of keeping the team separate, so there's no cheating goes on or anybody looking at somebody's like little trick bits. You know, it's a competition. You know, these guys want to keep it separate. So this is the Spanish guy here. We'll get his name in a minute when we get the start list up. Now he's doing something a little different as well. He's flying a glider called the Moustache, so he won't be using the speed bar because it has a full angle of attack control on the riser system. These gliders are quite revolutionary. They've only been around, designed for the last couple of years by a company called Flare. And I actually fly them personally. Here we go. And this is the 13-meter Moustache. This thing is so fast. Watch this guy's feet go. He's in the air. I can tell you, I launched these, foot launched them. And you've got to be the Linford Christie or the top sports sprinter of the world to get these things in the air. So this is going to be very interesting. This normally doesn't happen. Flare, glider isn't actually normally certified for paramotor use, but this chap's managed to get a certificate and a letter from Flare to allow him to fly in this competition. So I'm really excited about watching this fly because this is my all-time favourite current glider.
That's interesting that you said these are not normally used in paramotor championships.
That's right. So as I mentioned, this glider is a revolutionary glider. It's a totally different concept way of flying. The whole riser system is involved in the angle of attack of the glider, the way we change it. So as you pull on normally on a paraglider, you pull on the brakes, it simply pulls down the trailing edge to slow the glider down. This doesn't. As you pull on the controls, it pulls a little bit on what we call the rear, on the middle riser, and then the back risers, and it changes the whole angle of attack, but without deforming the wing. So what you'll see here is the wing will always look the same, but he's changing it like it's like a solid hang glider, basically.
And it is Javier Teodoro Lopez from Spain on his PF1 class. Here we go.
Here we go. So 30-meter wing. He's got his hands nice and high. You'll see as he goes around the pylon, he'll pull a bit of brake on. You'll see here now, it's hard for him to fly. You can see the energy of the glider trying to pull him back in the air. Yes. So he's trying to keep the angle of the bank up so he can use that energy to pull him around the course. Because this is, as I mentioned, a different wing that they normally use, you can see he's like, you know, still learning. You know, we all are. This is something new for us all, which is great to see. I'm so pleased that they've got this glider flying here in these championships.
It's interesting that he is gaining so much height, isn't he? Is that going to penalise him?
Potentially, yeah. You could see he was looking up at the wing there. You could see he's like, trying to feel the energy of the wing. You'll see in the slow motion shots here, as I mentioned, there's no deformity on the wing compared to the other gliders on the fly. There's no tip steering going on. So, you can see there he's trying to bank it up so he doesn't get pulled up into the air. It's like a plane hurtling down the runway on takeoff. It builds up its energy and then it launches. That's what's happening now. It's like a plane, but he needs to crank it right over hard so that energy is now diverted into the turn. But yeah, it was a challenge that for him. You could see that. Yeah, it's interesting to watch.
It was very different, wasn't it? And is this our next competitor now? This should be from Sweden. I think it should be Navid Salic.
Oh, so Navid from Sweden. He's our solo Swedish competitor. He's the one and only Swede. So as I mentioned, this is our normal standard type paramotor in wing. I think it looks like a dudek snake, if I'm right.
Yeah,
I got that right. That's not bad. I know my stuff. Yeah, I'm not just making it up. He's taking it slow. It's a practice flight. He's not even using his speed bar. He's just getting the feel for the course. There's no need to go too gnarly too soon. Let's face it, these guys have got competition ahead of them. Why stuff it in on your first day? So he's just getting the feeling for the course, getting the feeling for the conditions. And it's actually quite nice to watch him just go around in a nice, smooth, calm, controlled manner. And that looks like his last turn around the last pylon, and here he comes out the exit. Now he's trying on the bar, just getting the feeling for how it is. And there you see he's letting off the bar. The energy converts like a plane climbing up after taking off.
Navid from Sweden there. Next up will be Poland. We have Bartosz Nowicki will be the next pilot through. But a very good point you made there about not going full power. It's a practice round, isn't it? It's all about feeling the course, reading your angles, reading your lines, and the conditions as well. You want to get these conditions in your head.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, we love what we do. And we want to keep doing it. We want to go home at the end of the day. So it's probably right. Yeah, I'm impressed by how he's flown that match there. Just keeping him within his limits, keeping it safe. He can fly a lot better than that, or a lot faster if he wishes. But why push it on your first flight? Keep it sensible, keep it safe.
Very good morning, everybody. If you've just joined us, this is the first official practice day of the FAI 6th Paramotor Slalom World Championships. Here in the studio, I'm your anchor and host, Regan Tetlow, and I'm joined by expert Gordy Oliver.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thanks for inviting me, guys. And Qatari Air Sports Committee, we take our hat off. So we've got our first collapse. So this is what we're talking about. As the guys accelerate the wings, the angle of attack's very low, and basically the air pushes down on the wing and causes the wings to collapse. We fly what are called ram air wings. They're held together by air pressure. The ram air wing came from skydiving canopies. The first paragliders were just that, a big, boring old skydiving canopy. But if you look at these now, we've got multiple cells. We've got really aerodynamically designed wings. There's a lot of flow dynamics in computer programs, assist the designers in making them. But at the end of the day, it's the designers are really experienced pilots, and it's down to the feel. So when a prototype wing's made, they'll do one flight. When they land, they'll retrim the lines, change the shape of the glider slightly. And that process can often go on for 2-3 years to tune the wing before it'll go into production. So we are flying production wings. They are certified. But as you can see there, that's our first collapse. This is a danger of slalom racing when you're flying at this cutting edge of our sport. He was good though. He handled it well. You could see how he let off his speed bar. That increased the angle of attack, which allowed the deflation to pop out and kept him safe. So yeah, first collapse, but he's got through it safely, and we've not got a swimmer yet, thank God.
So, as I was talking about the other day when we were first chatting about this, one of the biggest dangers is having the speed bar engaged and then using your inner brake a little bit. That's when you're going to get problems.
Absolutely, yeah. What happens is, as we accelerate the gliders nowadays, we've developed a thing called reflex in the wings. It means the trailing edge goes higher than the leading edge.
Yeah.
Now, normally that would cause the glider to collapse. But they've managed to work on a thing called the centre of pressure, is the bit where all the forces culminate on our wing and support is what we're hanging off. When we apply the speed bar on a reflex wing, it moves the centre of pressure forward to the leading edge. So all the force of lift is sucking up on the leading edge, keeping the leading edge inflated and keeping it solid. As soon as they apply the brakes, if they're on the speed bar, the centre of pressure moves back, which moves the lifting force back, which means then the leading edge isn't supported, and that's why they get the collapse. So as I've mentioned, these wings are flying different to how a lot of normal paragliders fly, and you really need to be tuned in with what you're doing. It's split-second timing. Blink, you'll get it wrong. You know, it's really is just amazing to see and amazing to watch. So we've got our next competitor getting ready for the start gate. He's applying a bit of speed. You can see, there we go, his legs are stretched out now, his hands up, he's giving it full guns on the power. You can hear the engine revving up. Yeah, he's giving it a bit more, and a little bit of turbulence there, and yep, round the pylon, nearly got his tip on the ground, and round the next pylon. Look at that go. You'll also notice, I must say, the wind is starting to pick up. The direction's not bad, but it is actually starting to affect the competitors already. I can see how the gliders are wriggling. They're not quite smooth. It's a bit like a skier going down a mountain and suddenly he's hitting a few moguls in there. And, you know, when you're a ski racer, you don't want a mogul in the middle of the way. So, again, I suspect we're going to try and wrap through these guys as quick as we can now. And for the next certainly hour, maybe hour and a half, 2 hours, we should be okay. But then I suspect the wind's going to maybe start getting the better of us again here in the south today.
Yeah, it was forecast to be the last day of the Shamal, the last day of the strong wind to be coming through, and the big talk was that we would be starting with the practice tomorrow. Is it mandatory to have a practice run? I'm sure it is, right?
Yeah, you've got to. You know, these competitors have come out here. They've not flown this course. They've not flown this area before, unfortunately, this week. I was lucky. I managed to come out a few days before the competition with my jet team, and we managed to get some really nice practice flights, some beautiful footage flying above the towers. And we also managed a practice display with the Qatar Air Force and the National Skydiving Team. But these guys have come from all over the world. The Qatar team have been practicing here for quite some time. They've got the home advantage. It would not be fair to start the competition today. The Qatar guys would win because, you know, all these our foreign competitors who've come all this way to this event, they wouldn't have that knowledge, what they need to fly safely, to fly at their absolute limit, which is what they're going to do when they are in competition. So yeah, it's great to be able to get these guys finally in the air and get some practicing going. And I'm sorry if every now and again we get cut off, but that's because that guy's right above our tent right now.
Do we know who this is at the moment? We're just trekking through the list, but I'm not sure if we might have missed one. But if you do recognise anybody, Gordon, just let me know who they are, and then we can get the Chiron on.
Yeah, I certainly will. I mean, I can tell you a few things. He's flying a Liberty Paramotor, and he's flying a Dudek Snake Wing. I think it might be one of the Qatar guys, possibly. It's probably it's got Qatar colours. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it should be either
a giveaway.
At the moment, we've got Poland and Czech, who are the next 4 or 5. It could have been the Spanish, but we'll get that to you as we move through the list.
I think it was probably
Augustin, maybe, from Spain. And this one now, we're going to the Trike now, aren't we?
Okay, yeah, so we're on the Trikes now. So it looks like we're just going to try and get the guys in the air. We may even change the start list that we've got.
Yeah.
Because, as I've said, I can see the winds picking up. You can see it on the lake there, on the water. You can see there's a few darker areas. That's where the little gusts of wind are. And you can see how it's coming off the shore now, and it is actually coming across the La Salle Towers, which, although they're beautiful towers, and let's face it, if anybody's ever going to build a tower next to the water for Paramotor, and they've done it the right way because they're shaped like wings, so the air will go around them to a certain degree, but they will produce turbulence. So it's time to really wrap through these guys, get this practice round done. You can see there's a number of guys in the air now, and they're obviously going to fire through the course one after the other as quick as they can.
Incredible stuff. Very good morning, everybody. We are coming to you live from Qatar, and Doha is where we are, just north of Doha a little bit. A beautiful up-and-coming place called Lusail, which is... It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of development going on here. It's where the stadium is for the final, where the World Cup final was, and where the Asian Games final will be in 2 days. It's just down the boulevard. But there's a whole collection of restaurants and shops and accommodations all coming up very, very quick. And here we are with the first official practice for our competitors. They've been having, they've been having a great few days of tourist action, going seeing around the souks and the beaches and all the things that Qatar's got to offer. So they're having a bit of a dual location activity thing going on, but now it's time to get in the air and check out this course. And we don't always have all 5 markers out there, do we?
Yeah, that's right. So they're using 2 pylons today. So in their terms, it's a relatively simple course. Sometimes we'll have up to 4 pylons, and we'll do various routes around it. It's a bit like joining the dots when you were a kid, when you were drawing things, really. It's a good description of what we got. And you can see there there's Sal's Shark in the background. I mean, what a backdrop. As Regan just mentioned, the competitors, it's got to be said, the Qatar Sports Committee, the way they've laid this event on, all the competitors have been staying in the Astoria Waldorf 5-star hotel, not far from this event site. They've been taken on these windy days for some fantastic tours around the country, seeing museums and various other things. And I've got to say, we're being treated like royalty here. We're paraglider and paramotor pilots. We're basically...
It's not always like this, is it?
No, mate. No, we're normally in a tent or a camper van at the side of a lake, unshaven for days. But here we've been treated like royalty. We've been treated like pop stars. It's a fantastic thing for us. And you can see our next competitor. He's off the bar now. He's trying to keep the angle of bank up high so he doesn't get too much height. He's brave. He's going for the bar again. And then you can see, he's climbed up quite high there. So, there's a lot of energy coming through the wing. And that's the other problem. Oh, you can see. The other problem is when the wind conditions change, that's like another element thrown at us. So we try to deal with like 3-4 dimensions of forces being thrown at us while we're doing this. And there you can see he's off the bar now, climbing out. He's taking a breath. He's probably not breathed for the last minute while he was going through there. And and he's had his first go.
Here's a replay now of his second carve round.
That's right. So what happens is when they're on the bar, you notice the corner of the glider curling in there.
Yeah.
That's called tip steering. So when we use the speed bar, I mentioned earlier about how the gliders are accelerating, they'll get collapses. We try and use the tip to steer, and it hooks the tip and pulls it round. A bit like putting a paddle over a canoe out to one side and turning the boat. And then once they're actually turning, then they'll apply both brakes, which pulls on the trailing edge, which causes the wing to convert energy. There he's got a bit high, he's a bit off on his timing, but you can see he's trying to pull it round, and that then gives us these sharp carving turns. And as I've mentioned, when the guys are really cooking and really like on full gas, they'll be pulling about 2-3 G on these turns, By G, I mean that's increasing your body weight by 2 or 3 times its normal amount. You're getting squashed in your harness. If you take it too far, you'll black out. It's,
Wow.
Yeah, it's serious, So, Anyway, we've got a guy now. He's on an ITV wing. This is designed by a guy called Eric Verret from Switzerland. He's one of the proper old-school paraglider pilots. And we don't see many ITV wings in this competition, so it's nice to see. It looks like they're taking it cautiously, not using the bar width. And you can see the air bumping them around there. It really isn't easy for these guys today. I've got to tell you, I've been flying for 30 years. I know what I'm doing, but I've got to take my hat off to them. It's really hard. So, and I'm sure anybody watching this on the live feed, they know exactly what I'm talking about. We're not just trying to big this up for you guys. This is the truth. This is the way it really is. It's trying to do competition in very challenging conditions.
And in a competition environment, Gordy, how many rounds would they normally fly?
So normally they were going to be doing a number of heats and a number of qualifying rounds and what have you for this event. Due to the weather, what's slowed us down over the last few days, it'll probably change and we'll probably go for a practice round, and it may be that we'll just get one competition round in and it'll be awarded on that one task. The key thing is to get at least one competitive task in. If that happens and the weather's good, then we can do 2-3 rounds, and obviously it'll be the average sort of time over those rounds and what have you, which will lead to the points being awarded and the prizes.
Well, we've got competitors from all over the world. It is the World Championships, the 6th one ever. Do you remember the first one?
I can remember. I wasn't that heavily involved in paramotoring at that time. I'm a free flyer. Normally, I'm a paraglider. I teach back in the UK. I teach normal soaring paragliding. I've always paramotored. I mentioned earlier, I actually sort of went near the first paramotor. I think it was 1993 when I first...
Really?
Yeah. And then I got heavily into... Oh, here we go. Here's the first Qatar guy. We've got to watch this because the Qatar are the best in the world. He's flying a 14-meter wing, so it's really small. You can see it's been custom built with custom colours. So he's got a lot to live up to, this guy. He's one of the military pilots. They're effectively full-time paramotor pilots. Oh, and it's such a shame that he got hit by a gust of wind. That wasn't him. That was the conditions that kicked him out of the course. Oh, yeah, I feel for the guy. It must be hard. All this preparation, all this planning, all this training, and you're doing the best you can, and then the conditions catch you off guard. So, hard luck, mate. Better luck next time.
They will have been doing a lot of training on this course as well, on the run-up to this championships, won't they?
Absolutely. I mean, the Qatari guys, they've been training here. I think they had a test event a month or so ago.
Yes.
And the conditions were fantastic for it. So, and they've also been out every now and again training on this course in this location. As I've mentioned, they've got the home advantage, which is why it's hard for that guy there who's just... I really feel for him, to be honest with you. He spent months preparing for this. He's representing his country. He was doing a really good job, and it was the conditions what kicked him out the course, not what he was doing. So, it's tough. It's hard.
Luckily, it's just a practice day, so it doesn't affect any rankings or scores, but it's good training and good information for anybody watching as well to really read those conditions, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we see our next competitor now. They're flying an Ozone Freeride 2 wing. Again, one of the top wings that we use for slalom racing. They specifically built these wings to do this. They're not normal paramotoring wings. They're designed to have lots of speed and energy, and they're very maneuverable. And you could also maybe see as you turn there's a crease in the middle of the wing. Yeah. This guy is actually also using what's called weight shift to turn the wing. You see the crease there, and he's using it to counteract the torque of the wing. So that big spinning propeller on the back, you can imagine that spinning one way, there's a lot of momentum. It's spinning us the other way. We're a bit like a helicopter that's not got a tail rotor.
Right.
So he's trying to compensate as well as using the brakes. You can see him get kicked a bit by the turbulence there. He's also trying to use by leaning it away from the torque to try and keep the wing flying straight as well.
Here we go, next one.
Another Qatari, so fingers crossed for him. Like I say, he's representing his country here. The pride that these guys must feel. They've been brought up here. They've got into this sport here through the military, which is fantastic that there's a country like Qatar which supports its air sports so much. Europe, we're effectively all amateurs in Europe, We're lucky. If you're really good, you might get a free glider. But no, we're still buying all our equipment and what have you. But the Qatari guys, they're supported by their country. Their equipment's provided. They're on a wage, bless them, because they're all military people.
Yeah.
It's the way our sport should be. It's taking it to a level of other sports, and it's where we want it to be.
Well, that's what happens in air sports a lot. We get these Middle East countries that come forward and put on these great exhibition demonstration events which lift not only the competitors but the view and the visibility of the sport worldwide, and that can only help other countries, can't it?
Oh, tremendous. We had the opening ceremony. We had most of the country's dignitaries were here to watch the spectacle. I believe even the Prime Minister might have been in attendance, and the Chief of Defence. It was a fantastic show. The Qatar Air Force gave us look at this. Let's just watch this guy. So this guy, you can see how he's carving through. You've got the matching glider with the matching pylons. The Qatar Air Sports Committee have spent months planning for this event. This is great to finally see it come to fruition and to see the guys from the Qatar team performing on their home turf. and performing well there. I'm going to give that guy a round of applause.
Nice one.
Great.
Nice one, Gordy. And with the national teams, is there a number of people that you can have, or is there a limit to the amount of people that you can have? Can it be
there
one
will
person?
be, yeah, there'll be a maximum limit as such, but the Qatars guys will be there on their maximum pilots can enter. All the other teams, the opposite. So I mentioned earlier the Swedish guy. There's just him, bless him, representing the country. It was lovely to see at the opening ceremony because the Swedish consul was here as well. So you've got this little guy from Sweden here, and he's got, even his own government officials are here supporting him too. And then the American team, they've got Amelia, who's actually Polish, but she's the team captain because she's one of the top people in our sport supporting. There's only 2 of them in there. It's a little bit sad for me, but we've got no Brits here supporting it. Maybe I need to stop being an old schooler and maybe get in touch with this slalom racing and maybe try it myself. I've actually got some guys involved in my display team that are young, and they're looking at doing this. But also the other thing is to have the training facilities to be able to do this. You need an overwater location, you need the pylons. It's not easy, to be getting up to this level and to be able to practice and get yourself to where we need to be. So again, we've got another Ozone Freeride 2 wing coming in here. This will be around about 14, 13 meter wing. He's on his speed bar. He's off the speed bar. He's pulled on both brakes, converting the energy and converting it around the pylons. He's doing well here. You can see how he's keeping low. Yeah, this guy's good. You can see how he's getting his angle of bank. He's giving the pylons quite a bit of room, but that's allowing him to keep the height down. And that was a good turn there. You saw how sweet that was. And the faster the turn, the more G they pull. And as I've mentioned earlier, these conditions are changing. So that was a good run, under these conditions. Yeah, hat off to the guy.
And what about the temperature? How does that affect as it starts to get hotter? Does that affect the flying conditions?
It can do, yeah. Basically the colder the air, the more denser it becomes, hence the reason cold air sinks. So in warm air, the air's less dense, you fly a little bit faster. But also in the condition of the air mass as well, in high pressure air, we end up with the air quite heavy and dense, and it becomes a bit more soupy to fly through, shall I say, rather than cold, unstable air, which wants to rise, is much cleaner to fly through, shall I say. So but in truth, when you're tuned in, you're fired up on your engine and you're giving it full gas, you naturally just instinctively immediately adapt to it. You don't even think about it. It just happens naturally.
So we can see the officials there with the start lists, making sure that everybody's in the right order and the right timing. It's an early start here for the championships. Everybody's here very, very early, well before sunrise, getting everybody ready with the team meetings. And to keep everybody in the right order, is it purely down to the marshals, or are they working that themselves as well?
Yeah, so as we mentioned earlier, you saw the star list, and then we had the F1 and 2. And we thought that's how they would do it, but now they're going to basically just try and launch the guys when they're happy and ready to launch. So this is one of the Trikes launching now. You can see how he doesn't run. He revs the engine up to get the speed up. And you'll see this is because it's a bigger machine and it's heavy. He needs the wheels to get him off the ground.
Yeah.
Is this our first trike through the course? I think it may be when that guy comes in. I don't think we've had a trike yet. So yeah, another Qatari guy here. Let's see how he does. He's a little bit cautious on the bar, which I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to use the speed bar in these conditions. But that's good. That's a good turn there on the first pylon. Again, the second pylon, you can see he was almost getting inverted above the wing there, so he didn't climb too high to keep the energy under control. He's slackening off a bit now. I can see he's thinking, you can see his hands are coming a bit on and off on the brakes. That's because he's feeling the pressure changing through his wing. And yeah, I don't blame him. He's been kicked around a bit there, and he's decided just to pull out the course before he's gone right the way through to the finish gate. And it's not because he's a lesser pilot, it's because the conditions are really knocking him around. And in truth, that's a sensible decision to make.
Yes.
If it's going pear-shaped, if you're in a race car and you feel it sliding out towards the barrier, you try and do your best to recover it. These guys, that's the decision they're making. So it's really nice to see that the competition spirit's not clouding their judgment. and they're actually keeping themselves safe whilst they're doing this at the same time and making the right conscious decisions to do so.
Well, we've got the motors in the air. We can hear them around the studio here. The iconic shot looking straight down between the sail towers as we continue with the practice day. We're getting towards the first hour since when we started this morning at sunrise. Goes quick, eh?
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my word. Yeah, we can wax lyrical when we want. I thought we'd been here for maybe 15 minutes or so. So here we go. Another Qatari guy. Like I say, these are effectively professional paramotor racing guys, the Qatari team. They're the top guys in the world. He's being kicked by the turbulence. Now, that was the wind. A gust of wind has hit him, and it's basically, he was on the speed bar, the gust of wind hit him and caused the glider to gain more energy, and it's kicked him out the course. It's hard. It's quite hard for me to watch this because I know what's happening to them. I know what it feels like. I know the preparation they've done for this. But at the end of the day, it's still great to be able to watch this, witness it, and get these shots coming out to you around the big wide world from our little sport on a world stage, but showcasing it in this way.
The windsock there always tells a story on the corner of the image, Gordy.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think what we'll probably find is you'll get various pilots may choose not to fly as the conditions change, and some guys will. And as you'll see, as you witness them going through the course, these conditions will be starting to become quite challenging. Some guys who are maybe possibly a little bit more experienced may be able to handle it, and then others may just get, like really pushed out. So he's going on his speed bar now. He's really accelerating his wing, this Qatar guy. Hopefully no gusts of wind are going to hit him as he goes for the first pylon. He got collapsed. That was the turbulence from the wind there, but it popped out quick, which was good. That'll have made him a little bit nervous. He's sort of like taking it a bit easier now because he's got that first tuck. We call them tucks or collapses in paragliding speak. They're not nice. They're the things we don't like. We like to have a solid wing above our head. We don't want half the wing disappearing and flapping around like a flag. So yeah, he's trying again. You can see he's getting pushed out broad from the pylons, but yeah, you notice the buildings in the distance. The wind's coming over them, so you can appreciate if that was water in a river or stream, you would have standing waves and eddies and turbulence because of it. That's what's happening to the air. It's getting stirred up, and there's little eddies in the air and little turbulent bits. The wings are flying through them. The wings are getting nudged and kicked around. There's going to be a little bit of luck on this in the sense of some guys might get that little bit more smooth air and some guys might get it a little bit more rough. We'll just have to wait and see as this practice round develops today, as the sun's rising now over the Lusail Towers in the beautiful city of Doha here in Qatar.
It's 6:47 on Friday, the 9th of February. Gordy Oliver's here with the expert advice, and I'm your host Regan Tetlow here for the first practice day of the FAI 6th Paramotor Slalom World Championships. What you're reading from, I'm interested in what we're seeing on the field there with the body language of the officials and the pilots. Do you see any kind of change? Yeah,
you can see it. I can't recall how many days we've lost now due to the wind because there's been so many. Yeah. So, you can imagine the anticipation, the drive to try and get this practice round off. You can see Camille there. He's the top guy out here. He's the chief coach for the Qatar team. You can tell by his stride and the look in his eye, he's spent months planning for this event. In the background there, you can see all the tents and the marquees, the logistical support, what they've put in preparation for this. The Qatar Air Sports Committee has been absolutely fantastic. Those tents, it's been brilliant. I've been in them with my display team for the last few days. They're all air conditioned. We have a catering tent. It's like going to the poshest wedding you've ever been to. And it's just our lunch. It's brilliant. I must say, though, I wish they'd bring us a coffee because an hour in, I'm ready for a bit of caffeine.
Yeah, me too.
Unfortunately, we're the other side of the lake. We need to send a boat over for an order, I think, Regan.
It's quite far. It's quite close to look at, but actually to get here by car, it took about 15 minutes.
Yeah, to get around. And from what I understand, the islands we're sitting on in this area, it's only been developed, and literally 2 years ago, we would have been floating right now where we're sat from what I've heard. So it's amazing to see countries like Qatar developing in their infrastructure, developing these beautiful reclaimed bits of land. You can't see it; these guys can. When you get above it, it's all shaped geometrically.
Yes.
And it's beautiful. It's like looking down on a flower or something. I'm fortunate, as I mentioned, I got to fly in the practice display for this event. I was flying with the Qatar Air Force and the Qatar National Skydiving Team, and I was flying my jetpack, and I got to see what it was like from the air. I've been here now for nearly 2 weeks. I've managed 2 flights in that time. One was fortunately for the practice demo, and one was just a quick practice flight. So yeah, I'm lucky. I've managed to get the pilot's eye view, shall I say, of this area, and I've also had the pilot's eye view of the LaSalle Towers. And I believe we have got some drones, which hopefully are going to be going up later, and then I'll again be able to share what these pilots are seeing in their view with you guys out there watching this in the big wide cyber world.
And you were flying with your jet, were you?
Yeah, that's right. So the jetpacks, they're a Paramotor jetpack. Because it's a jet engine, we don't have a cage like these guys do. The model jet engines made by a company called AMT from the Netherlands. Alan Hewitt, my guru, who's designed these jetpacks for me, works closely with the factory, and we've moved the technology on from model jet engines to make them able to be used for ourselves to fly. We've got the only 4 jet paramotors in the world. We're now signed off, as I mentioned, as a civil aviation authority under the UK Civil Aviation rules as the display team. And we're now able to go around the world and perform at air shows and what have you. And we're qualified to do so and insured to do so. We're the only actual qualified Paramotor display team, I believe, because we have very strict rules in the UK on flying and display flying, the strictest in the world. So for us to do it, it needs to be done right. So we're in that position, and that's why I'm out here. That's how I've been given this opportunity, and I'm eternally grateful to the Qatar Air Sports Committee. And I've got to give Hassan a name drop here, and I know Regan's the same man. Hassan is he's the mover and shaker out here. He runs a company called Safe Flight Solutions. He comes up with many ideas for events in the country of Qatar. He puts on the events, sorts all the logistics out. It's people like that make this world a better place. It will be really dull. So Hassan, thank you. And I know Regan feels the same sitting here next to me now. We're eternally grateful to you.
Thank you very much, Gordy. Yeah, great words there. And interesting what you were saying about having no British competitors here at the moment. Is there people of the standard who could compete? Absolutely,
yeah. There's guys on my team that have got this ability. We just haven't really had the training facilities with the pylons and the water to get into it. In the UK, paramotoring is more the long flights. So we have the paramotoring champs in the UK where it's endurance flying. So they'll take off. The task will be to maybe fly a 50-kilometre course around turn points, and it'll be various categories. There'll be the fastest guy, the guy can do it with the least amount of fuel used and things like this. And then there'll also be in that competition tasks for skills. So there'll be close flying, like landing on a designated target or kicking things over with your feet as you fly past. And from there they'll award the prize. So we're fortunate next year in the UK we've got the World Championship for the paramotor and endurance effectively. So you can see this guy's foot launching. I think this might be my friend from Macedonia or Moldova. I'll need to find his name because I'm not great with all these foreign names we got out here.
Well, while you're looking for that, I've just got a message through on the YouTube. Juan in Oman says, what time is the competition? Well, there won't be any competition today, Juan. This is a practice day. Will they go for 2 practice days, or will they actually start the event tomorrow, do you think?
I think looking at the weather, tomorrow is what day are we on, Regan? It's all getting a bit cloudy. Is it Friday now?
Yeah, today's Friday.
So I've looked at the forecast, and the forecast for tomorrow is very good. It's light wind I suspect they'll go for it tomorrow and go for full competition tomorrow.
They don't have to have 2 full days of practice, no?
It's a we're at the mercy of the gods with what we do here, so we have to take advantage of any opportunities we're given, hence the reason for this practice day today. It's absolutely the right thing to do, to give everybody the opportunity here, the competitors, to come here and fly, get the feeling for this course. But I think what will happen is tomorrow they'll just go full on for the competition. They'll keep the course probably the same as it is now, so it'll be in Paramotor Slalom racing a relatively simple course. The bottom line is we need to have a competition. You can see the infrastructure that's been laid on here. I can imagine there's some very nice prizes which need to be given out, and people need to go home and take them.
So there you go, Juan. Thanks very much for your question. Keep your eyes on the social media channels as well. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and the YouTube link that you've got now, save that. That will be the same one for when we actually start the competition. Hello and good morning to everybody watching YouTube live. You can drop your messages in there, and I've got expert Gordy Oliver with us, who can tell you everything you need to know. So if you do have a question, drop it in. I'm Regan Tetlow. We are in Qatar, and it's official practice day.
Here we are, and you can see there now we've got the drones up by the looks of it. I think this might be our first drone shot, which is fantastic to see. So you're starting to see the views that the pilots are witnessing as they're entering the course. We're looking north there. And you can see our competitor here. He's opted not to use this. Oh, you can see how he's been bumped by the turbulence and the wind. He's flying cautiously because he wants to keep himself safe. You notice the Paramotor there looks a little bit different to some of them. That's because that one's carbon fiber. So, that's the Rolls Royce of our engines and our equipment. And he's chosen to do the right thing there. He's felt the conditions. He's not too happy. He wants to go home in one piece. And he's made as a pilot, I really respect the guys who actually don't fly this course today. The guys who fly it, absolutely, hat off to them. But for people like this who don't feel happy, they feel it's taken them outside their ability, that decision to cut your losses and go back to the landing area and land safely is so the right thing to do. You may think as a spectator watching this, what's he doing? He's been a really sensible pilot, and that's the way every one of these pilots today should be flying with that in mind, and keeping it safe. None of us want to see anything nasty happen here. We want to see these guys fly safe, fly happy, and fly home at the end of the day.
So it's like in any air sports as well. We always have practice rounds. We always have the competitors on site before the actual start of the event. You've got to get your eye in, you've got to feel the conditions. It's very different when you're a visiting competitor compared to when you're a local competitor with anything to do with being in the air. You've got to find the visual reference points, your setup points, how you're going to approach the course, what everything looks like at different angles and different heights. So it does take time to figure that out.
Oh, such a good point there, Regan. These guys that you've seen flying, apart from the Qatari guys, they've not flown here. They've been here for over a week, and they've not had the opportunity because of the winds to fly. So, it's their first time for probably 2 weeks now since they've been under nylon, under power. So, they're a bit rusty as well. So here we go. We've got, by the looks of it, Johnson from the USA team. As I mentioned, there's only a couple of USA pilots. There's Johnson, and then they've also got a female pilot too, which is nice. There's very few female pilots do this. I think there's probably only about 3 or 4 in this whole competition, and the USA has got one of those. I wish I could remember the names quickly off the top of my head, but unfortunately we've not got a sheet in front of us. So, bear with us with that, guys. We'll do the best we can to give you who's who, and I'm sure if you're watching this live and you see your friend, you're probably screaming at us to give them a big shout out. I'm sorry if we just can't give you that information. What I can tell you though is that they are the best in the world. You should feel pride if you're watching your peers and your friends fly here now.
It's the female is Leah Catullo from Florida. She's on PF1.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was great actually. Leah the other day we managed to strap to the jets and let her have a play with our jets as well. So she's not flown yet, but she's had a great experience since she's been here. So good on them.
I want to talk about these circles we can see on the screen there. They look like Hot Wheels tracks.
Oh, I tell you, and as a Paramotor pilot, we're all desperate to fly through them. But I think we may not be going home if we did, and we may be spending longer in Qatar than we should.
It'd be a beautiful, beautiful sight, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we love things like that. We love to fly close to the terrain, and obviously, when you see something, it's great.
Can you talk me through a trike launch? Because I know when you're on foot, it looks like you're really balancing left and right to keep your wing level. What's going on with the trike?
Yeah, so you can see they have to use the engine to power it up, which gives the glider a bit of a kick, which can be a bit tricky because it's throwing lots of vortices off the wingtips through the glider. But once the glider's up and stable, you can gun it on the power, and as long as it's above your head, you're okay. If it's off to one side, it'll pull you over and it'll tip you over on the trike, and you'll be in bits, which is a shame, really. Foot launching, in some ways, is easier.
Right.
That you can balance the wing and move across. The other point to be made is the Paramotor specific slalom wings like this. One of the things of design is trying to design them so they do launch well. They do pop up and they will sit above our heads squarely and they won't hang off to one side. The old days wasn't like that. And, it would take maybe 2 or 3 times. Oh, let's just measure. That was good. Has he got kicked up there? If he'd not stopped the glider surging there, he could have easily got a collapse. So that was good control there in that turbulence. And it's good to see he's staying with it. He's trying to stick in the course. You can see the gust coming across the water towards him. I can actually see there's going to be a gust hitting him fairly soon. And there it goes. Yeah, bang on cue,
Well read.
Yeah. So he's trying his best. Those darker areas are where the wind's stronger. So if you're watching this and you see a bit of darker water coming towards the pilot, he'll know that. We know that now. That's the nasty bit. That's the bit he doesn't want. If it looks more smoother and calmer, then there. So it's a lottery now, basically. Each pilot, it's not so much their skill level and their ability. It's the conditions which are sort of flying them as well now. So some guys may get lucky and get smooth air. You notice in the slow motion shots, if you watch his hands, you'll see little inputs. That's because he's feeling the pressure in the wing. And as he feels less pressure, he'll pull a little bit more brake, keep it solid. As you notice there, as I mentioned, he got hit by that gust of wind. You see it kicked him through. He stopped that surge there. If he'd not done that, the glider would have dived and it could have collapsed. And as I've mentioned, we God forbid, but we might have had our first swimmer. But the guy's done well. He controlled the energy. He's got a nice bank turn there. You can see the tip steering on the glider, helping the glider curl in and get around that turn. And as you know, if this slow-mo keeps running, no, it's okay. He would have been kicked up again by another gust of wind. So that was maybe a 10-second flight and 2 gusts of wind hitting him and kicking him out of shape and out of time.
So in a competition round with the start and the finish, we've got the points. We can see on the list there that we have on the screen, and we'll bring that to you again as we go through the day. But my question is, Gordy, for the actual timing, how is it done? Is there a sensor, or is it by eye, or how is the timing done?
Laser timing, I believe. So it's cutting edge. Yeah, they break a laser beam as they enter the course and as they come back out again. Yeah, so I don't know how they rig it up. This is information that I'm still learning about this. As I mentioned, this is a new discipline in our sport. The sport of paragliding, it's been going since sort of the early 1980s. It was a descent sport where basically it was just guys on skydiving wings jumping off big mountains. By the end of the 80s, the technology was improving and the gliders were improving so that we were actually starting to stay up and soar. That was around the time people started to build very, very Heath Robinson. You saw the guy there get hit by a bit of turbulence on takeoff. But that was around the time people started to build very Heath Robinson engines, proper, garage mechanics.
Really?
And then from about sort of towards the end of the 90s, Paramotors started to become more manufactured. And certainly for the last 20 years, it's moved on leaps and bounds. And we're now at a point where we've got all sorts of different Paramotor machines. As I've mentioned, these guys are flying tuned-up racing machines. It's not the sort of buy off-the-shelf motor. Oh, what's that shot? Beautiful.
Heading for the drone.
We want more of that, please. Yeah, that was fantastic to see the pilot's eye view of each other.
And God, as well as leisure flying and competition flying, paramotors, are they used commercially at all, in industry or?
Not so much in industry. I got to confess, when I first had my first paramotor, I did a lot of aerial photographic work, and
Right.
I would literally fly around. I live in the North of England, the Lake District, a very beautiful area. I'd go for a flight, take my camera with me. I'd then go around banging on all the doors and saying, "Do you want to buy a photograph?" Of course, nowadays with drones, that's long since gone. But what they do is commercially used for tandem flying and things like that. So you'll have a big engine, you can fly 2 people, and you can go along as a passenger. Again, that's the cutting edge of our sport. So it's not fully certified in a lot of countries, tandem flying. But yeah, if you do want to experience, that's the way to do it. Is have a little search on Google in your home country, put tandem paramotoring in, and you may be able to find somebody here out in Qatar. There's got some great facilities. There's a company called Sky Masters who runs the main school out here, and they have all sorts of bits of kit, which is really well set up for it. In the UK, we're not certified to fly tandem paramotors yet, but we are actually developing it, and we've got a trial syllabus running at the moment through our governing body, the British Hang Gliding and Paragliding Association. The reason is it's insurance. You know, whatever we do commercially, we then need to cover ourselves in case of something going wrong. And you can appreciate going to an insurance underwriter going, "Will you cover us for this?" Yeah. You know, you've got to find the right insurer with the right open mind. It's not like car driving where thousands and millions of people are doing it in each country. There's maybe, for example, in the UK, we've got 7,000 active pilots in a country with a population of 80-odd million people. So we're small scale. We're minnows, shall we say, in the great scheme of things.
So you mentioned the Sky Masters, and they actually do flights here. If you look at the location, the Lusail Towers, they'll do night flights for you. You can book those. So check those out online. Sky Masters, get that Googled and get your flight booked.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and they're great guys, very experienced pilots. They're very fortunate that they have some amazing equipment. They've got, you can see the little trikes here. The Sky Masters have twin trikes. So it's like an ultralight aircraft on a paraglider. I've looked at this guy's setup. I'm super jealous. Yeah, I will probably need to sell my house to buy one. You know, that's the sort of investment what they've made into this. But the great thing is in Qatar, being here in a country with relatively stable weather patterns, it means that they can run commercially quite well. I teach in the UK. I run my paragliding school in the UK. I've done it for nearly 30 years now, and it's difficult because we have what's called a maritime climate where the weather keeps coming at us from the coast. So we may get, a couple of weeks here where we get a nice stable high pressure system and we can get lots of flying in, and then it's rain and wind and what have you. But here in Qatar, we have more stable weather patterns, and it allows businesses like the Sky Masters to function. And that's fantastic then. So then they can introduce, the people off the street into this sport and bring on the future generations, because I'm 53 now. I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm not, I hope I can do it till I'm 80 odd years old. And in fact, in my local club, we do actually have one guy who's 89 and he still climbs up the mountain with his paraglider on his back and goes flying. Sometimes I might have to give him a little bit of a hand on launch, and he's incredible. Old Ken, we call him. So yeah, it's it might look a young man's sport, but no, there's people of all generations and from all walks of life. And that's another point I'd like to make. The beautiful thing is with our sport is it's a great leveler. It doesn't matter what your background, where you come from, what your politics is. When we get together, we talk about one thing. We're pilots. We just want to talk about flying, and we're just naturally the best friends because of it. And that's why I love it so much. It's just there's no politics, there's no hang-ups. We're in it for the love of it, and that's the key thing.
Excellent stuff. Great content you're giving us here, God. It's really an honour and pleasure to have you here in the studio. For people who are watching on YouTube, just drop a little message into the chat. We like to hear just from you. Let us know who you are and where you're watching from. Just say, hi, I'm in Oman or I'm in USA or whatever. It's great to hear out where you're from, so we know we're actually having somebody there with us. So give us a little shout out or a little thumbs up or a little smiley face or any questions you've got on the YouTube chat as we continue following this practice day, getting ready for the World Championships, the FAI 6th Paramotor Slalom World Championships. I'm Regan Tetlow, and I'm joined by Paramotor King himself, knows all about it. He's got some great stories. It's Gordy Oliver. Good morning, Gordy.
Hey, no, thank you, Regan. So, yeah, as Regan mentioned, give us a shout out on the YouTube. It's nice to get your support and know you're watching us, but also, you know, which country you're from, let us know, and we'll try and see if we can find one of your competitors in this competition and let you know the guys that you should be cheering for and, for the sovereignty of your country. I think we had somebody from where have we had people from so far?
Oman,
fantastic. Yeah, so we've got some Oman competitors. We've got guys from Iran. We've got this area here of the Persian Gulf where we are. There's a number of pilots who've made the journey across the Persian Gulf to be with us here in this competition. It's been fantastic for me to be given this opportunity to meet these people, to make friends with them, and hopefully one day I'll be able to welcome them to my country and introduce flying in the UK to them too.
So Gordy, let's chat a little bit then what we're thinking we're going to see in these championships. Of course, Qatar, a very strong team. Who else are we looking out for?
So the Polish guys, they are, they're probably the main rivals, I say. But then we've also got the French team. We've got a guy called Alex Matnick. He started flying. His father started flying. He's my age. He's an old schooler. It was his dad, and he had a paragliding school and paramotoring school. And as Alex grew up in around that. At the age of 12, he was desperate to fly, so his dad started to build him mini paramotors.
Really?
Because he was so small, yeah. And Alex started flying at the age of 12 on paramotors, and his sister as well. Oh, the name's just gone out of my head, but we'll find it. And then they started to fly. Since then, by the age of 14, 15, his dad had built bigger paramotors for them. And now they've actually got to the point where they now have one of the main paramotoring manufacturers called McFly, and that's their business. Alex, I can't remember, he's only about 19 or 20 years old now, something like that. He's world champion. That's how good it is. So yeah, so it's fantastic to see, and that's the French team. So and I'll certainly give him a heads up when I see him. That's actually his wing I just saw there on the right, I think. I know his colours. So we'll see them coming in a minute.
And does everybody come from paragliding, or do you have people going straight to paramotor?
Yeah, generally most people will do a bit of paragliding, but there's a lot of countries where there aren't any hills, so they'll come at it straight from a paramotoring background. The Polish guys, for example, that's why they've got so many paramotorers. Although they do have small mountain areas, there's a lot of flat land, and hence the reason they're into it. France is a whole different kettle of fish. So I'm just wondering if this is actually the French team here now, what we're seeing, it is, I think, and that's Alex, as I mentioned, there behind in the back of the shot. So that's the current world champion, I believe, knelt down there.
And I think number 40, I think that's Nicolas Aubert, if the numbers are correct that I've got here on my ranking compared to what we've got on their equipment. We'll need to find out exactly on the meeting tonight about that, how that's actually going.
Absolutely.
Do you find, I've been chatting with you guys and your team, we've been hanging out for a few days, and I'm a skydiver by trade for 34 years. A lot of my skydiver friends have moved over to paragliding. Is it a natural progression, or is it a completely different ballgame?
There's a certain natural progression, but one of the things with skydiving, if you do skydive, you probably know you can fairly boss a skydiving wing around. Let's face it, it's designed to open under free fall, so it's relatively stable. With paragliding, they're designed to work with the air and what have you. So What I find with skydivers is when they come to me, I have to detune them.
Right.
I have to calm them down and, like, you know, stop the heavy inputs and what have you.
Stop your bell ringing.
That's the one, yeah. Milking the cow, you know, yeah. I need to just detune them.
Right.
But, yeah, certainly their skill set for landing and judgment of stuff like that is great. But they'll often come thinking it's going to be easier than they thought, and they realise when they start that, yeah, there's a lot more to it. In some ways, it's sometimes easier to teach people with no previous experience because they've got no bad habits or muscle memory or things like that. So, yeah, so that's often the way it goes.
For me, I'm going to learn with you guys this summer, and I'm very adamant to make sure you guys treat me like a complete novice. You know, I don't want any shortcuts. I don't want any thinking, oh, well, he's been flying parachutes for so long, you know, but of course you wouldn't do that. You would give me all the full, complete lessons. And here we go. Number 40 on the screen with the picture. It is Nicholas Aubert, PF1, Ozone Freeride 2. The PAP, what is a PAP?
PAP's a Spanish manufacturer of Paramotor, so yeah, that's what he's flying. Paramotors, they're one of the oldest manufacturers, actually. This is Alex now, so this guy's the world champion. And you can see he's got his own he runs the company what manufactures that motor on his back, called McFly. I'm a little bit biased because I've got a McFly motor, and they actually gave us some support with engines for our display team, because our jets we can only fly for short times and they're not always available.
Yeah.
Now Alex, the reason he's struggling a little bit there on launch, he was being hit by a gust, but Alex always flies one of the smallest wings you can. That's a 13-meter Ozone Freeride. If you want a comparable 13-meter, it's basically a power kite, but he's hanging on it and he's flying on it. I fly a 60-meter Freeride too in my display. I mentioned about the mustache earlier. I do also fly the 13-meter mustache under power run jets. And the other thing to be mentioned about your wings and look at this. I knew the French team would be good, but I think that's about the sharpest turns we've seen yet.
Right.
So as I mentioned, these guys, you know, these really are some of the best in the world. They have some good training opportunities out in France with the weather, and they also have the pylons and what have you. That was a really good run. You can see why these guys are going to be the guys to beat in this competition.
Brilliant stuff, and I can confirm the numbers I have on my start list do match up with the numbers we can see on the pilots. 42 there. Alex Mateos from France.
That's it. Yeah, the main guy.
So we'll see now with our next pilots coming through if we are actually in the correct order of this start list we've got given there. I don't know if we can see the number of this guy taking off, but is it 41? That is that? Yes, Peter Hidesi from Hungary. Good morning, Peter.
Yeah, again, somebody travelled far and wide to get here, and he's entering the course now. He's again feeling the conditions, and he's trying to decide if it's appropriate for him to accelerate the glider. We've mentioned before, when you accelerate the glider, you're taking it to the edge of its stability. So it's a dilemma for them flying right now. Do they use the speed bar? Do they take the glider as fast as it'll go? The previous guy was doing that. This guy's taking it a little bit. Oh, you saw the kick on the glider there in the turbulence. This guy's taking it a little bit more cautiously, and he's being safe. And it's totally the right thing to do. I'm a paragliding instructor. I'm a chief flying instructor, and to witness these guys making conscious, safe decisions, it's reassuring and it's encouraging for me to be able to see and witness this. So let's see how he manages now on this next turn. Yeah, he's deciding it's like, you know, he's done his thing. He's got around the course safely. Oh, that's a beautiful shot as he's climbing out there. And let's watch the slow-mo. So you'll see in the slow-mo as he comes round, if the glider's smooth, the air's good, but if you see it nudged, a bit like hitting a sleeping policeman at speed when you drive down the road, then you know that, that's the turbulence and the wind getting stirred up by those buildings in the distance. And yeah, there you go. That was a bit there. You can see him getting kicked around. You can see him getting wriggled. That's not him. That's the air giving him a rough ride.
Just had a step outside the studio, just have a look at the conditions myself. It has warmed up a lot since we were here at sunrise underneath the drone there.
Oh, here we go. So this is the world champion, Alex Andremeteos. Let's see how he can do. So he's going for the bar. He's got a very small wing. He's going to go for the first pylon turn. He'll let off the bar. He flies the glider in a different way to everybody else. He isolates his tip steering. So you like to see he push a hand up as he starts to turn, and then he pulls it down. He's one of the few guys who flies with the glider set in this configuration. I've not tried this yet. And as you can see, that's why he's one of the best in the world. So by isolating the tip steering, it means he can use the speed bar and use the tip steering, and it keeps the glider relatively stable. Most people fly with a tip steering where it curls the corner of the wing in and brakes all on the same system, so it's called 3D flying basically. But Alex takes it a step further. He isolates. So if you watch his left hand now as he starts this turn, he'll push it up immediately there.
Yeah.
And now he's pulling it down on the brakes.
Just tell me what you mean by isolate. How is it isolated?
So there's lines going. So you got lines going to the tip of the glider, curling it in there in the slow-mo. That's called his tip steering line. And then you got brake lines going up to the trailing edge, which is causing that curl on the trailing edge we can see on this current pilot. So this guy here, it's all on one brake control. So to get the tip steering to work, he has to pull his brake across his body effectively, and then he pulls it down to apply the brakes. So it's all happening at once, and you can see the poor guy's getting really tossed around by the conditions now. Alex, what he does, he gets his tip steering isolated, so he applies it by, he has to push up and it pulls the tip in, and then when he's feeling the turn he then pulls down, so it pulls the brake on. So the two don't work together synchronized, and it means he can fly and resist collapses basically. But it's like flying and juggling with your eyes closed. It's a hard way to do it, and you really need to be at the on your game to do it. I know how he does it. My glider's got a system set up if I wish to do it that way. I've not tried that yet, and I may try in the future. But as I've mentioned, he's world champion. He's developed it himself, that way of flying. And again, that's why it's great to have these youngsters. I mentioned Alex started flying paramotors at the age of 12. I call him a youngster, at 20. But it's great to have these younger generations coming into this sport and bringing it on, because there's a lot of old men out here like myself doing this. Yeah, we think we're pretty cool, but we're not going to be here forever, and we need these guys to be in this sport and bringing it on for the years to come.
Well, you've just joined us. A very good morning and welcome to Qatar as we get the action underway. The first flights of this week, as we've had the strong Shawwal wind pushing through, and we're heading towards the start of the FAI 6th Paramotor Slalom World Championships. Day one, this is practice day. Everybody's finding the conditions. Everybody's checking out all the materials. I'm Regan Tetlow, your host, and I'm joined in the studio by British paramotor expert and teacher, Gordy Oliver. Good morning, Gordy.
Hey, good morning, Regan Tetlow as well.
Indeed.
Top air sports commentator. It's lovely to be working with you today.
And you, my friend. Beautiful view. We've got the whale there just hanging between the buildings. Just to the right-hand side, we've got the LaSalle Stadium, which is heading towards the final of the Asian Cup. Any difference you're reading in these conditions right now, Gordy?
Yeah, they're changing. The wind direction's changed. It's what we call veered, which means when the wind changes in a clockwise direction. Backing means it's going in an anti-clockwise direction. So when we started, probably about an hour and a half ago now, the wind was coming from the southwest, which is effectively where that white boat is in the shot. There you go. That's a great shot. So the white boat, the wind was coming from there onto the course. Now you can see it's veered by 90 degrees at least, and it's coming over the buildings before it's coming towards us. It's coming across the LaSalle Shark, what's hung there. And I've got to give a shout out to Adam Bosworth, my friend who hung that shark up, who's a paraglider pilot as well, and a speed flyer who I taught to fly. So, it's... it's great how us guys get to travel the world, do these things. He gets to hang sharks up. I get to hang myself out of the air as well. So yeah, it's all great to see. But as we've mentioned, these conditions are changing. I can actually see there's less guys laid out in the landing area now, which means that some of the pilots are making that decision. It's getting a little bit too hairy for them, and they're deciding now that it's probably going to be too much. But we've also managed to get a lot of guys through already as well, which is fantastic as well. So I suspect we're probably not going to be too much. Oh, you can see him attaching the speed bar then where I talk about. You see the riser system and the pulley system?
Yes.
And there, this is great to see this. So this thing here now is attaching. You see the foot loop. When he applies that, he pulls on those pulleys and it pulls down on what we call the risers, the webbing bits, which go to the leading edge, which lowers the nose of the glider like a pilot in a plane pushing his stick down to dive and gain speed. And great camera work there. It's really good that he's got this for us.
And this is Alexander Citron, number 54 from Moldova that we've got on the screen right now. You mentioned the camera work. As a competitor and as somebody from the sport, what about the sports presentation guys here with the pictures they're bringing us with the drones and the remote control camera here and the angles? Are they presenting the sport well in your mind?
It's again why I've got to take my hat off to the Qatar Air Sports Committee. You know, we've never had this before in our sport, to have this live feed, to have this quality of images, to have this amazing team sat next to me now. I'm big it up, and I'm sure we'll share some pictures later of our little setup here. And the other thing is also, you see on the guy's head here, he's got a funny little thing sticking up. That's the Instagram 360 camera.
Yes.
So as well as what you're seeing coming from us, if you Google World Paramotoring Championships over the next few days, all these guys will be loading their footage up on Insta and what have you, and you'll be able to see what they're seeing as they're flying this course from their view, which will be fantastic, to witness that as well. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, yeah, big shout out to the production team here with all these different angles and shots and drones and close-ups and the RF camera down on the field. We really are bringing a very professional look to this air sport here of paramotoring. And these things don't just happen. It takes teams of people who've worked in sports for many years to bring in this level of production. Can hear one of the pilots above us, number 55 there on the field, Gilles Slinger from the Netherlands, preparing. Just talk me through a little bit here now, what's actually happening.
So I've got to say, I think the reason he's wearing, because I'm a little bit chilly sat here now, it's not the warmest day in Qatar, it's only about 23, 24 degrees, I suspect he's stripped down just in case it goes pear-shaped, in case he goes into the water. You can see he's wearing his life jacket there, which is compulsory in this competition. And he's also, you can see we mentioned the Insta 360s, he's well tooled up with his cameras. You notice the machine, he's got, I think he's got a metal tank there on his machine, because this is you don't see these things normally. That's some bit of kit there he's wearing, and he's really worked on that to make it the absolute cutting edge he can to get the most out of the performance out of it for this competition today.
Thank you very much, Alexander, there from the team that we've just been bringing you as we continue with the footage of this first practice day. It's a good opportunity for everybody involved to get their feel of the rotation and the procedures that we've got, to get the angles right, to get the whole system in place for the pilots to read the course, the safety officers and all the marshals to be in the right place as well. We all bright and early this morning. I think the pilots were on site just gone 4 a.m. Me and Gordy arrived actually 2 hours ago at 5:30, and it's already 7:30 now. Can you believe it?
Oh, what we do for our sport, Regan. Yeah. 4 o'clock waking up. We came down here in the dark. We watched a beautiful sunrise come up over the sail as this competition was starting. And we're here now witnessing the best pilots in the world, showcasing their skills. And what a spectacle it's been so far. I think we're about an hour and 3/4 in now. And we've got a fantastic production team here with us. And they're amazing the way they're getting these slow motion shots to us, which is allowing us to show you and explain about the conditions and how challenging it is for these pilots. What a setup. We keep saying this over and over again, but it needs to be underlined yet again. to have our sport showcased at this level and this quality, it makes me proud. I've been at this for 30 years. I've never witnessed anything like this. And to be here in person, in the flesh, and to be given this opportunity, thank you so much.
Are you with us again tomorrow, Gordy? Are you still around?
I suspect I'm going to be down here tomorrow. Oh, of course I am. Yeah, the competition, we have to, It's the reason I've travelled this far. It's the reason I've been supported by the Qatari Sports Committee and Hassan from the Safe Flight Solutions. They've brought us over here, and I need to give something back to these guys in appreciation and thanks. And the least I can do is sit here and give you what level of knowledge I've got from my years doing what I do and sharing the love of this sport, and be able to give you some a bit technical advice on this commentary.
Yeah, it's brilliant for me. I'm learning about it, just like the people that are watching at home that are not from the sport are learning as well. Straight down the barrel of those two gorgeous buildings. In fact, there's 4 of them, isn't there? There's 2 behind.
There is, yeah. It's quite funny. We were here for about 2 days, and we thought there was 3, and then I took off to do my display with I mentioned earlier with the Qatar Air Force and the Qatar National Skydiving Team. And I flew around the corner, and there was a tower that had been hiding all that time behind the other one. It was like, oh, there's 4 sail towers. And we mentioned earlier, this is a fairly new development. It's only in the last few years. All this, this was effectively bits of desert and water, and the Qatar government. Where else in the world would you build something like this? Would you build these beautiful towers? Would you reclaim land from the sea and allow for these logistics to be put in place? This is still a new area, We were down here for the last sort of 2 weeks nearly now, and there was effectively just us most of the time because it's still in development, it's still being built. But you've seen the shots of the grandstand in the background. That was there for the opening ceremony, and there will be a closing ceremony as well. And it was full of all the dignitaries of this country, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Defence and what have you. And it must give those people a lot of pride as well to be able to come after they've put the hard work in. They're the people who've developed these countries into these fantastic spectacles, Qatar hosted the World Cup recently. They came under a lot of criticism for it at the time. Oh, guys, they did a fantastic job. How could, anybody, put them down? It's just amazing. We've got the Grand Prix here. We've got all these fantastic sport events. And it's absolutely superb that, that we can bring our sport here under the support of this national support and just take this sport to this fantastic. It really is taking it to the next level for us.
It really is. Great to have everybody here this morning. A lot of the pilots have flown. Quite a few of them now are actually standing down. We're getting a bit of feedback that it is quite turbulent out there, and a few have chosen not to fly. Thanks to Rob Hughes for that little bit of feedback there. So what we've got on the field now, we're getting towards the last of the ones for this morning, Gordy. Then that will be it for today.
Yeah, as I've mentioned, they're making the right decision. I've been flying for 30 years, and the reason I'm still flying after 30 years is because I make conscious, safe decisions. I'm responsible for people every day when I teach, and it's actually really nice to see these guys making that decision now. It's becoming too windy, too turbulent, and it's the right thing to do. It's maybe disappointing for you watching this. You maybe wish to see more, but hopefully tomorrow we have got a really good forecast tomorrow, and we should have an action-packed full competition day, hopefully, and do what we've all come here to do.
Well, what a great morning it has been so far. It feels like it's mid-afternoon. It's not. It's only 7:32, Friday, the 9th of February here in Qatar. The official practice day has started, and it's coming to a close for the FAI 6th Paramotor Slalom World Championships. All these countries from all the world got the flags waving there. He's lifting the red one and the green one alternatively. Yeah. What does that mean when they alternate?
That's just, they're good for takeoff, basically. Okay. Yeah. So if you see lots of red flag waving, it's not a good sign. But both flags is just saying, it's good, you're good to go. And I think this is going to be one of the last competitors. So it won't be long before it'll be over for the day. And it's great, these guys I've mentioned, they've been here for a number of days now. they've achieved something here today, which is brilliant to see. And they'll be able to relax now, recap on what they've done, maybe change their setup slightly to tune them a little bit better for the competition. It is a practice round this, at the end of the day. So nobody's trying to show anything too much. They're just trying to keep it safe. And it looks like we've got our last guy in the air. You can see the marshals there. Can breathe a sigh of relief that, everybody's got through safely. And it's time for us all to go for a well-deserved break, I think, after this in the next sort of few minutes.
Yeah, it's number 56 in the air. He is the last one of the day to get into the sky here in these conditions. It's been a really full-on morning for us all, really, everybody that's involved in this event to bring this championships to you. Number 56, it is from Iran. It's Mohammad Reza Kezavavez from Iran. I was speaking to him last night, so he's taking the final flight this morning into the sky here in Lusail in Doha. And as we move to the end of this broadcast for you, I want to say it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much to everybody involved. Thanks for all the officials and organisers out on the takeoff field that have made sure that we've had the pilots in the right place as well. Great support from my good friend Rob Hughes. Thanks very much, Rob, for your input as well. It's always very much welcome. Have you enjoyed yourself today?
It's been fun. Yeah. To have been brought in, last minute to help here and assist with the commentary. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been really good fun. And it's almost hopefully quite adapt that our last pilot is from Iran, just across the Persian Gulf. Literally a stone's throw away, and here he comes entering the course now. I actually had this guy on my jets the other day as well. Yeah, we're all, and it's been brilliant for me. I've made so many good friends. I'm not sure if it is the Iranian just yet, but yeah, it's been brilliant. It's a multicultural event. We're all getting together. Oh, look at that shot! Isn't that fantastic? Yeah, this is what you see when you're a pilot.
We've got a special shot here as well. We got the drone flying, following the action. When do you get this at Paramotor events?
Never, for various reasons, It's not just the skill of the pilot here, it's the skill of the drone pilot here. We've got to take it off. Look at the cell towers in the background. I know that view. I've been very fortunate to have had this in the last couple of weeks, but to be able to share it with you out there in the big wide cyber world, you're looking there across to the Doha waterfront and all the skyscrapers in the distance. The big hotel just going out of shot on your left is the Waldorf Astoria, where all the pilots have been put up in 5-star luxury by the Qatar Sports Committee. It's the perfect way to finish this practice round, and for us, Regan and I, to thank the Qatar Sports Committee for putting on this amazing event. Let's hope tomorrow we get the light winds, and let's hope we get a competition day as the last pilot comes into land.
Well, thank you very much, Gordy Oliver, for all your incredible expert analysis of this event, and to all the broadcast crew as well who've been bringing all the great shots to us here. But from all of us here in Qatar, with the first day, the practice day of the FAI 6 Paramotor Slalom World Championships, we'll be back with you with the actual competition, hopefully bright and early tomorrow morning. From me, from Gordy, we'll see you soon.
See you soon, guys.
Tiene que haber alguien aquí explicándome lo que pasa.
Don't know the time, I'm letting go. I wanna find someone to love. I feel